Welcome to Wisdom Talk Radio, a collaborative community of explorers in conscious living. Welcome to another special episode of Wisdom Talk Radio. This is the place where you come to discover more about living consciously, living a fully expanded conscious life. And in today's episode, I'm reading from Unconditional Remembrance, Your Connection to Source, about shame, vulnerability, and true surrender. A feeling of shame impacts us deeply and it keeps us hidden, especially from ourselves. How can we step into our sovereignty? How do we surrender to the real relationship we can have with Source? At the end of my studies at Cold Mountain Institute, I did an internship at their center on Cortez Island. 3 months in residence with encounter groups, personal confrontation, body work, and daily personal growth sessions of various sorts. The facilitators were luminaries of the human potential movement. They had written countless books, taught all over the world, and were considered masters in their domains. The theme that ran through it all, especially in the encounter groups, was to find the places that were hidden and shameful. This was what was applauded. It was how you could receive the blessing of the group leaders and therefore the approval and the love from the participants. If you didn't find those places, you were confronted as hiding out, unwilling to be vulnerable. So often I didn't know what to share. I believed it was because I was out of touch with myself and my emotions. I certainly knew the perspective that we hide parts of us that feel shameful and the need to bring them into the light. I'm not sure how often I came up with something because of the expectation that there must be issues to address, and how often whatever I brought up was real and true for me. The love, read that as approval, came at great cost. It was only our wounds that were celebrated. There was no dignity of the soul. The radiance of each person's inner being, what was greater than their personal issues, was nowhere in the picture. Remember, these were famous teachers and therapists. I was seduced by the confluence of their expertise and my lack of trust in myself. My capacity for discerning what I needed came much, much later. Vulnerability through confrontation didn't serve me. It was forced by expectation and the unwritten group rules. What I needed was something else entirely. My journey was about surrender, but not to the group or to others' expectations. It was surrender to myself and the greater life force that pulsed through me. This is a kind of vulnerability where you don't know what's next, where you have stepped away, willingly or not, from all that is known and familiar. There are 2 paths of surrender one can take on this journey. The first path is usually done without awareness, as you defer to the powerful, charismatic leader who wants you to reveal yourself. Their intentions may be good. It's simply that they come from an old paradigm, one that sits in a worldview of separation. The other path offers an experience of connection and potency, being of the universe, not just in it. Your surrender to the inner is to inner truth. That is to God within you, because this is where you experience being all that is. Fundamentally, your individual consciousness is enfolded in the unified field of consciousness, the universe. In other words, as in a hologram, your particular piece of the puzzle contains all of the pieces of all of the puzzles. In the act of being born, you don't lose wholeness. You forget it. Later, when you make an energetic quantum leap, activating the blueprint that has remained intact in your cells, You remember this original truth. It happens in a moment. It is not linear, which is why I call it a quantum leap. In fact, it is a complete paradigm shift where old beliefs dissolve and fade away. I took that first path, so I know it through and through. When you feel this first kind of vulnerability, you give up something about yourself, even though it feels like you are coming home, because what was hidden is given air. There is something that is also given up. There is a trade-off. It's what I did in my graduate program. I learned the language of encounter groups and of how to process myself. The true path is not to stay hidden, of course. The big picture is to stand in your power and your glory, where your ego doesn't run the show, and you are a partner in co-creating with the universe. And since, after all, this was my journey, there was something for me to learn in taking this route. I needed space to experience my fear of being seen. I uncovered and healed patterns of grief and mistrust of the world. I learned to share my deep hidden places with others. I allowed myself to show up and be seen. And there was, of course, still more to discover. And I expect, imagine, know that there is always more for you to discover as well. There's always more for us to learn. That doesn't stop. And at the same time, if you're feeling like, I know there's something else, maybe this can start to point the way, to light some light, even if only in the background, for you to consider your own journey in a new way. For more for you to learn about your own quantum connection with the universe, you can take the quantum connection quiz at the BacaInstitute.com. You can buy the book, Unconditional Remembrance, and join us here regularly for more wisdom, discovery, and illumination. Share this episode with someone else that needs to hear it. I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us here at Wisdom Talk Radio. We wish you well in your conscious explorations. For more information and to join in the conversation, our website is wisdomtalkradio.com or at Wisdom Talk Radio on Facebook.